Okay, students, now we are going to learn role plays. Now we have come to start Unit 4, Speaking Skills 2. Previously, we've completed Speaking Skills 1, Unit 3. In Unit 3, we've completed conversation skills. We've completed interview skills. We've completed presentation skills. We've completed public speaking skills. And now we are dealing with role plays, first lesson in Unit 4. So we are going to learn briefly about role plays. What are role plays? Benefits of role plays. Why role plays for learning a language? First of all, we should notice that every individual plays many roles in his life. Suppose you are a college student. You are studying in the college. You play as a student in the college with your teaching staff. In the same way, when you go home, you become a child to your parents and you become a brother or a sister to your siblings. And when you come back to college, you become a friend to your classmates. Thus, in your life, you play many different roles. For playing these roles, you must have a good knowledge or a grounding, thorough knowledge in knowing the important functions of language, as we have discussed in the previous lessons. The important functions of language like greeting, asking for information, giving information, and making polite requests. So, with this, knowledge, you can play your roles effectively. That means you can speak effectively. You can make your listener understand you well, and you can make your listener understand what you are saying to him. Why? Because you are very good in your language, you can understand other people and you can also make other people understand you. Vice versa. So, role plays are very, very important. Benefits of role plays. Role play exercises improve your communication and soft skills like thinking skills, negotiation skills, adaptability, decision making skills, interpersonal skills, and the skills of a facilitator. And the skills of a facilitator. So, in this way, you can do multitasks. By knowing how to play a role. These are the benefits of role plays. Why role plays for learning a language? The second point, why role plays for learning a language? Of course, for learning a language, role plays are very, very, very important. The primary thing that you need to improve your language is participating yourself in the role plays. For example, when you sit with your friends, when you discuss on different issues, you generally speak in your mother tongue. But instead of that, if you could practice speaking in English, as you want to become proficient in learning English language, as you want to become fluent in your English language, you can use this opportunity, because in college you have number of friends and you discuss with them different ways in different situations with different people. So at every situation, if you can habituate yourself to speak in English, which is a foreign language for you, you can learn it better. So practicing makes everyone perfect. So for this practicing, you need role plays, and role plays will vitally help you to improve in your speaking skills. Now, you play different roles, and in each role you act like a different person. Suppose sometimes you can take the roles of different characters, as the heroes and the heroines do in the film industry. So now we can see in the cinema organizations, they conduct many role plays in order to make a film. So in filmmaking, role plays are very, very important. And even in olden days, the poetry is also based on role plays. They used to write poetry through role plays. Later, the poetic forms took a different turn by different poets developed from different nationalities, and now we read a different form of poetry. But if we see and go back to the ancient poetry, we can see even the dramas in role play style. So they characterize and they show characterization through role playing. So, role playing is very, very vital in our lives in order to learn good spoken skills. Now, if we have to play different roles, we have to think like them, we have to take their body language, and we have to exactly act like them in order to mesmerize the audience. This is how the film actors do. That's why they got lot of scope because of their role playing performance. And now, as an example, let us see a role play. Here is a short role play. Let us see. Now, we can see here stranger 1, stranger 2, stranger, stranger 2, stranger, stranger 2, stranger, stranger 2, stranger. We can see here two characters. They are strangers to each other. Stranger 1 is a stranger to the stranger 2. They are new to each other. Now, they both met in an Indian airport, and we can see their conversation. Their conversation goes this way. Stranger 1 says, "Hi, what's your name?" Stranger 2 answers, "Don Basquet. What's your name?" Again, stranger 1 says, "Dire 1 Dean. What's the time?" Now stranger 2 says, "It's 10 p.m. Where you are from?" Stranger 1 again speaking, "I'm from London city. Where you are from?" Stranger 2 saying the answer, "I'm from Denmark. Take a seat." Stranger 1, "Thank you." So this is how we can see a simple role play. That means in our day-to-day life, we come across many situations and circumstances, and in those circumstances, we need to play a role. So when we try to play that role in the required language that we were interested to acquire, then automatically we can get some command in that required language. So everyone likes to get a good command in English because it is an international language, and if we learn English, we will be having more scope in this world to get better jobs. That's why everyone likes to learn English. That's why we speak about English, and we encourage you to get skills in English language. Okay, again we are going to discuss on a different topic, that is lesson 2. Okay students, now we are discussing the next topic in unit 4. Speaking skills 2. Lesson number 2, debate. Once again, under speaking skills 2. Lesson 2, debate. And this comes under unit 4. Now, we would discuss about debate. You might have seen in television shows and also in assemblies and in parliaments, these debates take place before they pass any resolution. A debate must take place prior to passing any resolution. This happens around the world, not only in India, not only in our state. It takes place around the world to solve various problems. When any topic arises, or if they have to pass a bill, if a government has to pass a bill, first of all, a debate has to take place. So that's why we generally could see in television shows people debating about various topics. In assemblies, they take debate in order to pass a resolution, and in parliaments also they debate. Now, what is a debate? We have to discuss what is a debate in general. Debate means there will be two parties in a debate, two groups will be there, and these two groups will participate in the debate. Generally, we see in our families, if any problem arises in our family, we discuss about that problem, we talk about that problem, and we want to seek for a solution. So, in order to see for a solution, we discuss with our family members, our well-wishers, in order to find a solution to the problem. So, that usually may happen in the families, in the family structures. We can see and we can witness in family life. So, in the same way, if this problem seeking or solution seeking is done for the government purpose, for the public good, for the citizens' welfare, then we call it as a debate, as an official term. So, generally, in government institutions and in other organizations, we can see these debates taking place, discussing on various arising problems in order to solve those problems. Now, this could show a way to come out of the problem. So, for that purpose, a debate will be held. Now, in this connection, we can remember our former Andhra Pradesh state. Our former Andhra Pradesh state was divided now into Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Before, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh state were one as Andhra Pradesh. Now they were divided into two states. So before the central government and the state government taking this issue seriously and coming to a conclusion, they conducted a debate. I can say this happened in 2013. So we can see that they discussed on various points, two groups. There are two groups, and they discussed, and later a resolution was passed under Mr. Kiran Kumar Reddy's regime. Then the state was divided. Now we see how it took place. So this is called a debate. Now, how does a debate help students? We have to observe, understand, perceive how we can, or how a debate helps develop the students, or how the debate helps the students. Now there are some points we can go through. Those are critical thinking skills. That means in order to participate in a debate, one should have critical thinking skills. What does you mean by critical thinking skills? Critical thinking skills means there are many problems or complexities are there. And when the thing is very complex, to get a solution, we should start thinking critically. That is called critical thinking skills. You have to think in such a way that you can come out of these complexities. And the second one is logical thinking skills. So, when you want to see a solution for a certain problem, you should think logically. What is the logic behind everything that you talk or you speak about? And you suggest about, you see the logic. That means the advantage and the disadvantage. That means, why I said advantage and disadvantage? Suppose, if a deceiver wants to deceive you, then it is a disadvantage for us to be deceived by the deceiver. A deceptive person, he thinks in such a way how he could trap us. So, this is his deceptive skill, but he is having some logic in deceiving us. He knows how he can deceive us. So, he sees the logic, but it becomes advantageous to him, and it becomes disadvantage to us. So, that means logic can be advantageous or disadvantageous. Suppose, as we are students, or if people who serve the government servants, they seek for the welfare of the people, they seek the welfare of the nation, they seek the welfare of the city, town, etc. So, there arises many problems from time to time that they have to show a solution. So, at these times, they think logically and take decisions so that those decisions help the public as well as themselves. These will help the public as well as them, and they are useful to the public as well as to the people who suggest those things for the welfare of the people. So they see logic in that, and accordingly they speak out. So that is called logical thinking skills. Third comes communication skills. We've been talking about communication skills since the first session onwards. Communication skills. So you already know what is meant by communication skills. So we should have communication skills as well to participate in a debate. And the next, problem solving skills. Problem solving skills. We've just learned ahead about logical skills, and now we are discussing about problem solving skills. So logical skills, problem solving skills. Problem solving skills needs logic. So there is a connection between logic and problem solving. That means the one who is having logical skills can show a proper solution for the problem. So he has the capacity to convince the other party who is opposing you or who is opposing some party. He can convince them and he can compromise with them. He can make them compromise with the existing system. That means he knows the tact and knack of solving a problem by showing the right issues to the opposition party. So such kind of persons we call, or such kind of skills we call, the persons who are having such skills are called as problem solving skills. And next comes negotiation skills. You are having the capacity to bring out the issues in an effective way. Suppose if you want to ask a permission as a student, if you want to ask a permission, you want to ask permission for a day. That means you want one day leave. You don't want to come to school for one day. So, but your college is very strict and the college has already ordered you not to take leave. But at this situation, what you will do? You have to approach your concerned teacher or lecturer or principal, and you should tell your problem in such a way that it could convince him or her so that they will give you permission. That means you are capable of convincing and expressing the issue in such a way that they agree to give you permission. That is called negotiation skills. And the last, team spirit. In the team spirit, there will be a team leader. All the team works on the orders or by the orders of the team leader. So, team leader should have these skills, and team leader should be innovative. He should be a good guide so that he could bring unity between all the members in the team, so that the team is inspired to do whatever the boss says or suggests or implements or proposes. So that is called team spirit. They fill the team members with good inspiration so that they can make the team members perspire what they have to perspire for the team so that they will accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. So that is called team spirit. Now, we have discussed what are the things or what are the skills or what are the tips we need that could help students in a debate or to participate in a debate. Now, we are discussing about the stages in a debate. There are some stages in a debate. So, stages in a debate. First, introduction. First, introduction. Now, in a debate, there will be an affirmative group and there will be an opposing or negative group. That means the affirmative group or positive group talks positively on an issue, on the topic, and the negative group or the opposing group talks negative points on the issue or on the topic. So, in order to find a proper solution for the issue, people or organizations or bureaucrats or government officials, they conduct debates. So, in conducting debate, the affirmative group will propose the resolution. They propose the resolution and put forward their points for discussion, and then the negative group or opposing group starts putting forward their points. So, in each group, either it could be affirmative group or opposing group, there will be 4 to 5 members in a debate. So, these 4 to 5 members belong to each group. They start putting their forwards, discussing, arguing. So, in this way, the argument takes place. So, the opposing group is there and the affirmative group is there. The affirmative group first puts forward the points or the resolution and its benefits and its uses and the purpose of the resolution. Then the opposing group can show their views negatively or what negative effects would the issue could bring. They can put forward their views. Now here in this debate there will be a chairperson or a speaker. So under the direction of the chairperson or speaker, the debate takes place. The speaker or the chairperson initiates the debate, then the affirmative group starts putting forward their points with the resolution. So in this way, the debate takes place and the last members will talk about the main title of the debate. Each person from each group who is the last person of that group, he takes the lead and he concludes the issue, and then the judge or there will be a group of adjudicators or judges, and these judges will see and try to give the verdict. Now, when the chairperson or the speaker takes the initiation and he gives a signal to end the debate, until then the debate takes place. Then afterwards, it is in the hands of the adjudicators. Then the adjudicators will declare who is the winner. Who is the winner? So they will declare the winning party. So we can say adjudicators, or in a pure legal way, jury. So there will be a group of judges. They will judge, and they will tell who has won in the debate, and they will bring a conclusion to the issue, and according to the winning party, they will make a proposal, and they will pass a resolution if it passes. If the negative party wins, then they will cancel and maybe reconsider the issue to come into debate again, or they may put an end to it there itself. So this is called introduction. So argument, conclusion. So first they will introduce. Who will introduce? The affirmative party will introduce. Then argument takes place. Then argument takes place between the two groups. Then the last person of each group concludes by giving their points, final concluding points. They will conclude the discussion, and the speaker puts an end to the debate according to his time and knowledge. Then the debate comes to conclusion, and then the resolution will be passed or will be cancelled. That's what we can learn from the debate or from the stages in a debate. Now, we are going to see some tips in the debate. So, if we can remember these tips well, it will help you, or it will help us. See, understand the topic properly. So, the participant in a debate must understand the topic properly. Identify the two possible sides of it. So, they have to identify the issues on either side. Build your arguments for each side. So, you have to build up the arguments. Provide real life examples. So, you have to take some examples, some living examples in support of the debate. Fifth one, conclude properly. You have to bring a proper conclusion, not bijare jijare conclusion. Sixth one, work it out together and within the given time. So, within the given time, you should finish it up. You should try to finish it up. Then it becomes a successful debate. The following topic is group discussion. Group discussion. We've completed role plays, debate, and now we are going to discuss about group discussion, lesson 3 in unit 4 under speaking skills 2. So, group discussion, what is group discussion? Why is group discussion is important? Nowadays, why everyone thinks about group discussion? why people are tensed when they hear about group discussion. All these things we are going to discuss in a nutshell. Now, the word group discussion has become a buzzword of every job aspirant. The employing companies or the employing institutions, they conduct these group discussions to measure and pick up the right candidates. For that purpose, they conduct group discussions. So, in group discussions, they are going to assess the capabilities of the persons in group discussion. It is a filtration process. Group discussions are conducted in colleges and other engineering institutions in order to recruit the right candidates. So, group discussion is a very important tool for getting a solution. So, it has made the companies as a solution tool for selecting the right candidates. So, this solution finding tool helps them to recruit well knowledgeable persons, intelligent persons, hard-working persons after assessing their abilities in the group discussion. Why is group discussion is necessary? Why is it conducted? Because the experts who are present in this group discussion, they are going to gauge out the abilities and traits of the aspirants in order to select them for their desired companies. For that reason, group discussion has taken as an important solution finding tool in this world. So, in order to participate or in order to face this group discussion, we need to acquire some skills and personal traits. We need to acquire some skills and personal traits. Now, I would like to tell you about those traits. The first one is communication skills. Communication skills is one of the main traits. That means, as we have learned throughout these sessions about communication skills, and even our main subject here as a foundation course that is designed by the university is or prescribed syllabus under foundation course as one of the foundation courses is communication and soft skills. So that's what we are learning. Why they have introduced this subject for us in second year? Because they came to know that it is the need of the hour for every student to equip themselves with these skills. So, the first one is communication skills. You should be good in communication skill. You should be fluent in communication skill. So, when you are fluent in communication skills, you can prosper in your interview. The second one is interpersonal skills. Interpersonal skills means you can able to interact with the different kinds of people at different situations in order to find solutions, in order to administer something, in order to propose something, in order to establish something. You need to have interpersonal skills. That means you need to move with different kinds of people. So, when you have the ability to talk and move and convince any kind of person in any kind of situation, then you are having interpersonal skills. So, this is also very, very important. You will not feel shy when you have interpersonal skill to face anybody or to talk with anyone. And the third one is leadership skills. You should have leadership qualities in you. When you face this interview or this group discussion, you should also possess leadership skills. That is also important. And the fourth one is motivational skills. You should be able to motivate others. You should be able to turn others towards your side. Or you should be able to convince any kind of person to perform a certain kind of task that is necessary in your company or that is necessary for you. So, when you are having these motivational skills, you can handle any kind of situation. So, this is also one of the traits. And next, team building skills. Team building skills also will help you because generally when you work in big companies, multinational companies, big institutions, manufacturing units, you need to do teamwork. So that's why team building skills you need to have. You need to compromise, you need to reconciliate yourself with others, and you have to keep yourself in a friendly manner with your team members. So this is a very important trait. Negotiation skills. Negotiation skills. Suppose any problem arises or any situation arises, you have to negotiate with persons or with the two parties and bring them to stand on one track. So this is also a very important trait. Analytical and logical thinking skills. So you should possess analytical and logical thinking skills. That means when you are working in any kind of institution or manufacturing unit or administrative purpose, you need analytical and logical skills because you have to see what the logic behind your purpose to proceed in something. So you need something that is useful, something that gives you a solution, something that helps you to get what you feel to get, and sometimes it will also help you to solve things that are unable to solve. So this is very important. Problem solving skills. So you should be in a position to solve small problems that are arising in your company or in your team or among the team members in your department. So this is also very important. Reasoning ability. For every situation, you should have some reasoning. So when you have reasoning, you can understand different kinds of situations and you can tackle them in a better way. Initiative. You should be a person to take initiation in anything that is proposed by your company, that is assigned by your company, that is commissioned by your company. So this is very important. Assertiveness. You should be able to speak well and make others understand well. You should be eloquent in whatever you want to convey. Then you become assertive. Flexibility. Flexibility is another skill. You should not be stubborn. You should not be rigid. You should be flexible. At some times, you should show kindness. At some times, you should consider some things which you may not all the time consider. You should look into things and make some conciliations. So in that way, you can be flexible. Creativity. Creativity is very, very important. You should be creative. You should have new ideas, new methods, new theories. Then you can find new things. You can fathom new ventures in your life. Adaptability. So you should be a person who could adapt anything to your side and manage yourself to survive with it. That is called adaptability. Decision making. And this is the most important personality traits that you should acquire in order to succeed in group discussions. And the last one is cooperation. You should cooperate with others, with your team members, with your superiors, with your subordinates. So when you have this quality, automatically you will be expressible, or in the interview you will be found that you are an perfect match for the company to get you in or to offer you the right position. So, dear students, these personality traits are very, very important for you. You should learn them and you should act according to them, and you should try to behave in such a manner, because it not only helps you to attend group discussions, but maybe sometimes you yourself may conduct group discussion in order to recruit other people. So at such instances also, this will be very helpful for you to assess the people or the persons or the candidates that you require, and on these basis you can select them whether they are having these qualities or not. Now, these are very important for you. Please remember them. Now, let us see how is your performance judged in a group discussion. How is your performance judged in a group discussion? See, your expression is very important. Your presentation and interest is very important. So, you should be happy, you should be expressive, and then follows your presentation and interest. When you are interested in the job you want to get, or when you are interested in such companies to work, then you have to show your interest and you have to present in such a manner, in a joyous way, with a happy mood, with laughing face, smiling face. You should express yourself. You should not look sad. Your knowledge of subject, you must have thorough knowledge of the subject that you want to get appointment. You have to get the thorough knowledge in order to get the appointment in a particular department. Next, your logical and systematic development of argument. So when you are arguing or when you are talking, you should connote yourself logically and systematically. You should not talk in a meaningless way simply. So on those lines you have to think. Next, your non-verbal behavior like your eye contact, gestures and postures. Already we have discussed about these in the interview section. So you should have non-verbal behavior like your eye contact, gestures and postures. That means your gestures and postures and eye contact should be very decent, intact. You have to maintain on the required standards, then you can be a winner in your life. And now, how to participate in a group discussion? How you can take your successful participation in the group discussion, or how you can become a successful person in the group discussion, that we come to know here. Now we will discuss those points. Try to take the initiative. So when the group discussion starts, generally, now they may select 10 members or 8 members, 12 members, whatever they select, whatever the number they select, you have to be very cautious and initiative. They ask you to sit in a room around the given placements, then you will be given a topic. They will drop you a topic and the experts will watch you through the surveillance cameras, or maybe sometimes they may directly present personally at your interview place. So when you sit with a group of people, they will drop you the topic, then at that time you should be initiative. You should try to take the first initiation. Then you may get the credit. That is the first thing. Next one, if you miss the first chance and if some other member take the lead. So suppose if you miss the first chance and some other man or some other person or student takes the lead, what you should do? You should not get panicked. You should not worry. You should not feel sad. You have to listen to the other persons who are speaking very carefully and note down their points, note down their arguments, their summaries, and try to cleverly integrate them, integrate their points or denounce their points in a respectable manner. So you can take your lead by telling them to excuse me, and after saying excuse me, you can proceed with the same point the other person is talking about, adding some more points to it. Or if you don't agree with him, if you think is not right, then you can oppose him and you can put forward your statements relating to your opposition. Then try to be different from others. We've already learned you should try to be different from others. When in the group, when people are talking, you should not simply carry their subject or their points or their summaries. You have to be different. You should be yourself and you should talk in a innovative way, different from others, and you should present your own style, integrity and personality by bringing out some new things in addition to what they are talking and just upgrading the matter that is already raised. So in that way you can be different. Don't panic. Take the role of integrator. Sometimes you have nothing to talk. Many people have taken the lead and they are talking. So don't worry. You take the role of an integrator. You support them, support their points, and you add some more good points to them, and in that way you can encourage your partners in the group discussion. By that means you can also become an integrator and sometimes you can be rewarded. Now the last point is take other roles too. Not only these things, you have to take other roles also. Like sometimes what happens, sometimes people in the group may be arguing with each other, maybe they are going out of control. So when they go out of control, you should try to reconciliate them, bring them close and give a finishing touch to those quarrels in a very clever manner. And in that way also you can succeed in the group discussion, and also here also you can play as the role of an integrator by supporting the arguments of other people. So in this way you can succeed in group discussion, and this is a very, very important topic nowadays. You should all concentrate on this topic. And now we have some tips given in debate and in interview lessons, topics. So in debate and in interview and in role playing, we have some tips to follow. If you follow these tips, This will certainly help you and make you sit in a high position. Thank you.